And good afternoon, and welcome to the iGaming Next podcast. Today with us, the founder of Hero Gaming and investor of Maxify, Georg Westin. How's it going?
Hey, it's really good. I'm sitting in our Malmö office. It's a sunny day outside. I came home from Frankfurt yesterday, actually. It was the first time I traveled in quite a long time, so it's always almost pleasurable, even the security control at the airport, because just finally out in the world again. So good time.
Yeah, just to see the security people saying hi to them, letting
exactly.
them exactly. You again.
Do whatever you want.
Yeah, exactly. Check it. Yeah, brilliant, George. I mean, this is interesting. So you sit in Malmö now, and for me, that's where it all started. Actually, getting to know you, so to say, because we were old colleagues, obviously, in the Betsafe days, way back, and Betsafe was very much a Malmö-based company, and so much talent came from that team back in the day. You know, I would always make the claim that like this, the Betsafe team is like the most talented team in the iGaming industry at that time.
Yeah, I think you're right. It was thinking back, it's quite amazing, that astonishing team that has sort of. I remember when we were bought by Betsson, and then we co-founded Casumo, and a lot of people have spread from there, created amazing things in our industry. So I think you're definitely right on that one.
Yeah. I mean, in our little team back then, there was Henrik Persson. He was the CEO back then, and is it because of him that he was able to kind of pull together this talent? Do you think?
I think speaking of Henrik, I've known him many years. He has a fantastic sort of aura around him that can attract the right kind of people, and also the right kind of attitude. I mean, at the Betsafe, it felt really like a startup culture there, because we did everything for the company and for each other to really make a success. And I think it's a lot about that, of creating that momentum. And Henrik is a great guy in doing that in all of his company that he's involved with.
Yeah, that's I definitely agree with. Before we continue this dialogue, I wanted to mention, I mean, we for those of you who are watching the video version of the podcast, you can see that there is a slot machine spinning here to the left, and why is that? And so we are doing a little bit of a charity project today, me and Georg, and basically Georg has nicely decided to donate. We'll start with a balance of €100 today, and what is left at the end of the podcast is going to be donated to charity. Can you say, Georg, which charity is the money going to today?
That's going to be MSPCA. So that is a charity organization in Malta. I think it's in Floriana, and they specialize especially in dogs and cats. And I think you, Pierre, being an animal lover, I think that's a good cause, and being a Malta company as well as Hero Gaming is, I think that's a nice way to help them out a bit.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I know the MSPA. They do amazing work in general, and I urge for those of you guys who are listening now, check them out. It's MSPCA. Who are helping out kind of homeless animals and kind of rehoming animals and things like this. So it's a great cause today. So we are hoping for some really great bonus rounds and these things. And let's see if we can rotate the slots a little bit to find those magic spins, basically. So let's see how it goes today. But yeah, some excitement here. And if we enter a bonus round, we'll kind of follow up and see what happens during those spins. And for those of you who are listening to the audio version, I'll follow up a little bit where we are at in terms of the balance. I think, Martin, can you say where are we right now with the balance?
So we're 90.
Oh, 90. Okay, we already lost €10. Well, that's
okay.
That's a little bit worrying, but we'll work it back. We have to warm up the slot. That was what Simon Litzian told us the other time. So. Martin, can you tell us if we hit 80 in the middle? Yeah, let us know that, because I can see it a little bit poorly here. But okay, So back to the discussion then, Georg. And before we move on, I think we left at a quite interesting topic in the case of like this old Betsafe team back in the day. I mean, now we're talking 2010 to 2011 before Betsafe was acquired by Betsson. And I joined the company 2010 as well. No, 2011. I joined 2011. It was just before they were acquired. And speaking of Henrik and his like incredible his incredible aura and being able to kind of connect with people, and I just wanted to mention like a short story to solidify that, because he really left an impression on me in that regard. And I remember, I don't know if you were there, Georg, when Betsafe organized the Rigged in Riga, which was a poker tournament.
I started just after that, but I heard so many stories from trip.
Yes. Yeah. Back then, I used to be like I used to be a reporter, so I used to go to different tournaments and basically live blog and live report on what's going on there. And I was invited by Betsafe to go to Rigged in Riga, and in the bar I met Henrik for the first time. And we had like a 10-minute conversation. We spoke. He asked me a few questions about my life. You know, I was training a lot at the time. I was doing some martial arts and these type of things. And that was it. Just a 10-minute conversation. And I think about a year later, I had my first day at Betsafe in Malta. I had just moved to the island. I had given up my entire life. I didn't know anyone. And my first day at work, I was alone in the kitchen of Betsson, out in the GB buildings. That's Betsafe were located at. And Henry comes into the kitchen, and without a doubt, he goes, "Hey Pierre, it's so nice to see you here. I'm so happy that you are working here. How's it going with the training? How's it going with the martial art?" And I was just amazed that first of all, he remembered my name, because I was a junior employee, Poker VIP manager I was at that time. And secondly as well, he remembered the conversation we had, and it's just a moment I'll never forget. This, he has a way of really being so personable and likable with people.
Indeed, yeah, it's fantastic in that sense.
Yeah,
and I think I've come from sort of more being very tech nerdy driven. I had a sort of a profound belief that it was all about technology and product, but over the years I've sort of expanded on that vision or that truth of building companies, that it's much more about human beings and the interactions and team building, and Henrik is definitely someone to look up to in that regard.
Yeah, that's for sure. And then something I wanted to ask you as well. It's so what happened after that? Obviously, Betsafe was acquired by Betsson, and I remember. I mean, back then, Betsson and Betsafe were arch enemies at that time.
I remember we really played that card. Sort of, we're gonna beat Betsson. We're gonna just pass them in the end. So it was interesting to be bought by sort of the arch enemy at that time.
Yeah, exactly. And both companies were kind of similar. Or Betsson was bigger at that time, but the merger was quite similar in size as the two companies merged. And I found it interesting at that time because no one had really gone through a merger before. Now we see a lot of mergers and acquisitions and these things happening all the time. The industry is kind of used to it now, I think. But back then, it was a lot like kind of play by ear at that time. And it was not the easiest task for Betsson to assimilate the Betsafe employees at that time, because the cultures were very different. Do you remember that?
It was. Absolutely, that was the case. And I also remember the CEO of Betsson, Magnus Silverberg, right?
Yeah.
He took me out for lunch because he sort of noticed that many of us Betsafers starting to have doubts if we should really join the teams and so. And he said, "So George, what should I do now? I've had this history at HP where we bought companies and the migrations or mergers took forever. So I want to do it fast." And I said, "Okay, yeah, fast." Can definitely be a way, but you could also play the trick that we played with you guys when we were Betsafe, find a common enemy, So he tried the approach to find some of the bigger UK companies and sort of portray them as they're the ones to beat now. Together, Betsafe and Betsson people are going to be a super team that's going to attack them. Well, it was a really interesting situation there.
Yeah, I think all of us at that time learned a lot just because we had to improvise a lot. There was, so much chaos. I mean, in our product team, we had just normal support cases being escalated to the support team, and we had to deal with that and our jobs at the same time. And I mean, there was really a time where to either like kind of make it or break it as an employee at that time, because it was insane pressure when there was a lot of the Betsafe people who left and without anyone taking over at that time. So I think anyone who went through that time kind of learned how to not do a merger, I guess, in a lot of ways.
Yeah, in many ways. I think maybe the sadness of that story was that, as you say, a lot of the Betsafe people left. And why was that? Well, maybe in hindsight, it was a bit rushed. Maybe they should have taken it a bit slower. But also it was the nature that we knew we were going to terminate the Malmö office. We were also really ambitious people. A lot of all of the co-founders of Casumo came from Betsafe. So we sort of started those thoughts early on, naturally. Yeah. Also, Pia Cohen, that was a great CMO, wanted to stay in the Malmö area, so she left. So yeah, it went quickly then.
Yeah, that's true. Martin, can you? So we are down at 80 euro already. This is not a good start of the podcast. Let's decrease the stake a little bit for now, and just warm up the slot, Martin. Just tell it nice things and rub it, and do whatever you do, a little rain dance or something.
Yeah. Exactly. I have my mathematician here in the office who made the mathematician or the math for this game.
Okay.
So maybe I should ask him how to play it.
Exactly. Exactly. See if we can get any tips and tricks from him. We are playing. What's the name of the slot?
Vampires Gone Wild. Yeah. So it's quite a high volatility slot. So if we hit something, it's going to be really good.
Yeah. Okay. Then we're gonna make millions. So the reason I bring up this then of the kind of the Betsson and Betsafe days is because you were the CTO at Betsafe, obviously, and then we merged. You got a new role within Betsson, and from there you, Oscar, Rasmus, and who was the fourth guy?
Niklas and Ted from the tech side, and Kim on the design side.
Yeah, you decided basically to leave the company and start Casumo. Which in hindsight was obviously a pretty good decision. But at that time, Betsson, we didn't really see that many startups at that time becoming this like wildly successful, having this trajectory that Casumo ended up having. So when you guys started to discuss this, like how did those discussions start? And what led you to then take the decision to, I'm going to leave this comfortable, good career path that I have to take this? I mean, it must have been a risk. It must have been nervous to take this decision at the end of the day.
Yeah, it was quite sort of risky. But personally, I've always had this sort of thrive and entrepreneurship in me. Founded Happy Bingo, a bingo site many years ago. I did sort of a lot of SEOing and affiliate building when I was at university here in Malmö for the gambling industry. So I've always had that drive of trying new things and taking high risks. So personally, it was quite the natural move. But you're also right that there weren't any sort of me and Oscar especially, who started talking a lot about the situation from a business point of view. We saw, okay, Mr. Green and Leo Vegas, those are sort of the successful stories that we can talk about in our industry now. And is it maybe too late to build another one of those? Because they have been around now for quite many years. But we also have this feeling, especially from Rasmus and Kim, maybe, about the gamification part of things, that we really believed in that you can do something cooler within the gambling sphere, combining gambling with gamification. A funny story about the name as well. Me and Oscar, we were thinking a lot about the name Mr. Vegas, like a combination of Mr. Green and Leo Vegas.
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe many of us know that now there is a Mr. Vegas brand at the end of the day. We thought it would be a bit too cheeky in the end. That, okay, maybe it feels like stealing two names, but yeah. So Casumo it was instead.
Casumo it was. And how did you? Well, Casumo it's obviously playing on the word casino, so that came up in some discussion internally, or did you have an agency that came up with the brand? Or
no, that was actually Kim's girlfriend, if I remember. I think we have to ask Kim because many years ago now, but I think it was Kim's girlfriend. He suddenly came one morning to the office after we brainstormed 50 different names, Casumo, and we were all just silent, and then we just, yes, it's perfect.
yeah. Yeah, it's a good story. And then obviously, so then you took the decision. And I mean, if I remember correctly, I mean, you guys at that time were looking for investment, obviously, to start this company, and eventually, then Henrik Persson, our old CEO, was, I don't know if he was the sole investor or one of the investors, but you know, that time when we were still fairly young in our careers at that time. I mean, not too young, but still going through that process. I don't know if did you feel experience kind of going through a process on how to seek investment for this idea? So like you have this like great idea, but how do you go from there to actually then raising capital for it?
That was the biggest part that I think I learned during that process, because you say I'd never raised money before. I've always taken my own savings and put them into the next one. But now we realize that those money that we have ourselves isn't enough. So we were thinking that let's contact affiliates, especially that we know in the industry. Oscar was an affiliate manager at Betsafe, so he had quite many contacts. But it was a lot about trying to figure out how much money, what can we value this to, what's reasonable. And then we traveled around Sweden a bit as well and met these affiliates that they were probably as inexperienced as we were, because they had just made loads of money from affiliating and not being investors themselves either. So yeah, we signed some papers there. They got their shares and we got our money. So it was a good but maybe a bit naive start looking back.
Yeah. It's like the classic napkin deals, you know.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but that's how the industry was back then. I mean, there was you know, you remember as well, like when you talk about the affiliates, you know, there weren't these like Catena Medias or RakeTech, like structured, organized, listed companies. Back then, there were you know, individuals were affiliates mostly who kind of made it big. They had some knowledge about SEO and these type of things, and they made it big at that time. You know, we always used to say internally at that time that like, oh, you know, 10 years ago we said, should have become an affiliate, but now it's too late.
Everyone at Betsson sort of dreamed about becoming an affiliate. But everyone else should have started 5 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the same with like the house prices in Malta. That was the same thing too. I should have bought 5 years ago, and now now the prices are too high. And that was also 10 years ago, and then since then they have like tripled. You know. It's a lesson. It's never too late to do these things. Let's see here. Where are we at now, Martin? 75? 76. Okay. We have stopped bleeding a little bit at least. So hopefully we'll be able to go through this podcast. But I can feel it now, Jared. I can feel that it's gonna turn around soon. So obviously Casumo, it's obviously your start of the journey and kind of the entrepreneur world as a casino operator. And then I think not that long after Casumo, you launched Casumo, you actually broke loose then and started Hero Gaming, or what was then called the Casino Saga.
Yeah.
And how come you kind of left Casumo and decided?
Yeah, that was we actually started in a really tiny, shitty apartment here in Malmö, all of us. But quite quickly we realized we need to have a proper office, and we also need to have a good presence in Malta. So quite quickly, 4 of the founders moved down to Malta, while we stayed here in Malmö. We're in Turning Torso, actually. when we launched and had that good start. But then after a while, it became a bit quite hard because we built both offices sort of at the same speed when it comes to people. And being six founders, it's also a bit hard with the communication for being in Malta to being in Malmö. And so we decided fairly quickly to terminate the Malmö office and move everyone down to Malta. And then me and my wife, we just gotten our first kid, William. So we said, let's not move to Malta again, now at least. So that was more of the practical journey. And we said sort of, I sold half of my shares to the others. And then we said, okay, good luck. Sort of.
Yeah. and then obviously you founded Casino Saga, so it was called, then that later became Hero Gaming. And I wanted to ask you a little bit about it, because I remember there was a lot of controversy around the name. There was, if I remember correctly, it was it was King, this massive game organization, who had some form of trademark with the word Saga, I believe. Can you talk about that? Like what happened? Why were you forced to change name then after a while?
Yeah, I mean the as you say, the game Candy Crush Saga that they call it was huge then. They had their big success, and it was a really big company. And when I started Casino Saga, I thought the name was perfect because there was this storytelling around. You get your avatar, you were out on a quest for a big crown that was stolen by a big dragon. You face sort of different boss characters in the story. So I thought a saga is just a brilliant way of portraying this casino adventure. So I love the name. But then I got this letter from King saying, you can't use that anymore. And then sort of started, of course, taking help. What can we do now? Because I've sent in the trademark application for my Casino Saga before then, but they were objecting against it. And
even before they got their own trademark?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But they had already their sort of saga protection in the process. But everyone told me you can't protect the word that's descriptive, which saga is. So they will never manage this. But they managed in the end, and I learned a lot about the sort of the trademarks of the world, that there are so many tactics, and if you have enough money and legal power, you can win that war. So I had to back down and change the name.
Yeah, I mean, if you're up against this like conglomerate, like King, like multi like billion organization, you know, I mean, they'll always find a way. You know, that's the tricky one. Like if you have an army of lawyers, it's just the unfortunate reality of this world that we live in, that that money can win you these cases, unfortunately. Because if it was on a smaller level, I'm sure that they wouldn't have managed them, so to say.
No, exactly. Then I probably would have fought it, but they had more lawyers than our entire company and staff.
Yeah.
So
yeah, of course. But to be honest with you, Georg, I kind of prefer Hero Gaming.
Yeah, you're right. I do as well. And then I sort of the second step was, okay, how do we play this game? Because that's a lot about my attitude, and I think how you should see business. Even though you get tackled, you have to think sort of, okay, how can we use this situation to get out on top, or at least in as good a way as possible? Because I think that's how you have to. In this industry, we get a lot of tackles. So you can't play the victim or become the victim. You have to be smart about it. So we told the player base, hey, we're changing our name. What should you think it should be called? And after we call that, we send out 3 different logo types. They get to vote which one they like the most. And then we have also went out in the media talking about this fight with King and so. So we got a lot of attention on it. So we became a bit known in the industry. We managed to change the name. No players left, pretty much. And in the same time, I sort of started to feel about this dream that we should have a multi-brand strategy of reaching all of the players in the world. So let's change our mother name company to Hero Gaming and Casino Saga to Casino Heroes instead.
Yeah, it was a blessing in disguise in the end of the day.
I think so, yes.
Yeah, good. You know what, George? This I have to say sorry, but this slot game is not very good.
Let's change.
It's not for now. I think you need to talk to your mathematician.
I do.
Okay, we are down to 70 now. Shall we try another game?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, cool. Okay, Martin. Which one? Do you have anything in mind, George?
You choose this time.
Okay, let's do. What's it called? The one of Push Gaming is called Shark. They're like really popular game. It's if you go back, Martin, to Casino, it's there. Razor Shark. Yeah, there you go. Razor Shark. Let's play that game because it looks really fun. I watch some Twitch streamers sometimes. They always play Razor Shark. So it's been.
Have you seen the German guy?
Yeah.
What is it he's streaming? Algae or something. He just wants the algae all the time. Yeah.
I usually look at what's his name? Rothstein is his name.
Yeah, Rothstein, yeah.
He has like the hat and he's like entertainer. Yeah, it's so interesting with how Twitch became such a phenomenon in general. Because I don't know about you, Jared. I don't know if when you were younger, did you used to play like computer games and like Counter-Strike and this type of things, or?
Yeah, a lot, like Doom and Red Alert, Counter-Strike.
Yeah, that's way back in the day with Red Alert and these things. But back then, when I was younger as well, I played a lot of Counter-Strike and like semi-professional. I played, and there was never anyone who would have thought that so many people wanted to watch others play. There was not even a thought about that as a phenomenon, And then obviously Twitch came and kind of opened the doors to a completely new way of consuming media. And this seems now to be like the next generation of media. And with that comes like the podcasts as well, and just watching conversations or watching others play or watching others do things, and it's a very interesting phenomenon because no one would have ever expected that trend, I think.
No, indeed. My son is 8. He watches Fortnite. He both plays and he watches just as much as he plays. So that's already then they start to consume it that way.
Yeah. And YouTube made they are doing like the yearly survey how people consume media and what they appreciate in the type of media they consume. And interestingly enough, like the production quality is ranked very low in general, and people appreciate kind of like genuine conversations and genuine media more than the production value, so to say. And that really solidifies this point that like you don't need like a 10 million euro studio, for example, to create like genuine and interesting content like this, for example. People who are interested in these type of topics or these dialogues, that's pretty much what people prefer watching and listening to. And that makes me think that the future of media will not be these high quality, high budget productions. The future of media will be people like Rothstein, who is this very, very interesting and entertaining person to listen and follow.
Yeah, some honesty and genuine sort of content.
Yeah, exactly, and not having to have these like sound bites and short interviews that are compressed to the point where they just become generic. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
What we are doing now, like long form kind of discussion. It seems to be much more genuine and authentic, and that in the end of the day, that's what people like. A lot of people prefer that to this like edited, polished type interviews or whatever, which doesn't really give you the sense of who the person is when they speak and things like that. So I find it interesting. It's this kind of paradigm shift in media and how it's being consumed. Is it something you guys are thinking about and how to leverage that in general, or?
I think personally, I think about that quite a lot, and sort of you can relate it also to maybe fake news that. The younger generation has maybe realized that the thing that we're sort of being pumped with on the sort of the mainstream channels, you can't really trust them either. So I'd rather go elsewhere and get my own opinion by listening to genuine people sort of from other types of media to get a fuller picture maybe than just what's being produced in the big media houses.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, it's a good point, because this extremely polished message that is being sent to you. I mean, in the end of the day, I think people kind of see through it a bit, or they understand that this is something I'm being fed, and people would like to see. I mean, there's a lot of interesting people that you see being interviewed, but because the answers are so polished, you don't really get to see who they are. Like you want to see them in an authentic, unplanned way talk about their opinions, for example, because that's when you really see what their thoughts and ideas and things like this are, rather than this like polished way. Maybe I think that's the thing. Yeah, it's interesting how these type of formats are becoming more and more popular. And I follow Joe Rogan a lot. So like for the last 10 years, I've been following his podcast and the evolution of that. And I think that really solidifies kind of how powerful that type of medium really is, because he is now, like Joe Rogan is now, I mean, I think he is probably one of, if not the biggest influence, like true, genuine influencer in the United States. If you really think about it, like millions and millions of people listen to 3-hour podcasts with his opinions. So whenever he endorses someone, like politically, sometimes he would like speak about what his feelings are for like Donald Trump or for Joe Biden or any other politician. That makes the rounds in the entire country. And people are influenced by his opinion, and he is just like, he's like, I'm just a normal person. Like don't listen to, like don't take my advice or what I say. But it's interesting how just because people can relate to him, people trust him, and people can relate, and they so when he endorses someone, then it has to be something that they can get behind as well. So it's crazy how much power a person like that has now.
I saw someone asking an influencer, or the influencer, oh yeah, I work as an influencer, and the person like, okay, so what do you influence people with? And they was a bit stunned. So you could also ask that, do they sort of ask themselves, what am I sort of telling people, and what does it do to the world? Do they understand their own power nowadays, or is it just still like a fun hobby? There becomes some sort of responsibility suddenly when you get that reach and that power. It probably sneaks up on them, right?
Yeah, it's something I think about too sometimes. Like for a person like Joe Rogan, who started his podcast as like, because he just wanted to have fun,
Yeah.
Like, he just wanted to joke around. He wanted to meet some interesting people, and then all of a sudden he is sitting on this insane like power over people's like opinion that he probably doesn't want himself, but he knows that like he must know, like if he sits in a podcast, that like if I say something negative about this person or like this political candidate, like it will have massive ramifications for people's opinions. It's not easy to stay genuine when you know that what like a little thing that you say can have so much can bring so much change. So interesting. Yeah. So yeah, from one thing to the other, Jared, to check in on what we have here as balance. Are we okay? We're down to €60 now. We're slowly ticking down, but we are still happy. We have a good conversation. We play some slot machines. We have some money for MSPCA, whatever happens. So
that was good.
Yeah, we are good anyway. So okay, so €60. We're playing Razor Shark. Let's give it a few more minutes, I think, and then we see if we can do one last slot today as well. We're getting 3 games today, I think. Yeah, think about something in the meantime, Georg. A game that you would like to finish with, and we look into that. So talking about like like tech trends and things like this, or media trends, for the younger generation, and if we go to like the tech side of things instead, because I mean you're obviously your previous roles are very tech focused, and
Mhm.
I wanted to ask you: Are you a bit of like a tech nerd in general? Like, do you follow the
Yeah,
emerging tech and these things?
yeah, I definitely do. I mean,
Yeah,
I follow all of the fast companies, Inc.com and
yeah,
Break It in Sweden, all of those. So I'm
yeah.
really on my toes when it comes to the tech sort of coolest startup companies. So
Yeah. Cool.
I'm still really nerdy in that sense. I can't program anymore, and that disturbs me a bit. I can still
Really?
speak a lot of programming, and I still do that to the guys here in the office.
Right.
But sort of the details in the craft has faded away.
Yeah. So being able to program is one of those things, right? You constantly have to keep yourself updated, right?
Yeah, exactly. But
Mm.
still, it's surprising on how many of the general ideas about programming and software architecture and how it scales and how it can work in sort of a multi-brand environment that those still apply. So
Yeah.
I still have really good discussions with the software engineers here.
Yeah, interesting. Because I wanted to ask you, like, on the emergent tech side of things,
Mhm.
what do you think is relevant for gaming in the coming couple of years when it comes to emergent tech? Like, what emergent tech can the gaming industry leverage?
Yeah, that is very much a key question, and I
Yeah.
know that sort of NetEnt has tried a bit with VR slots and all that. I think we are quite many years from sort of taking advantage out of that. But I think the general sort of move of offline gambling to online gambling, that's going to be the strongest one, and it is driven by tech.
Mm.
It's driven, of course, by sort of the simpler things, just that more people in the world get access to decent internet speeds and the smarter smartphones. So I think that's sort of a drive in our industry, that move. But I think that the general tech will become better, so we can create better slot machines, for example. Also,
Mm.
Evolution and the live casino providers can provide even better service just because the general technology becomes better. But I don't see any sort of obvious sort of game changer when it
No.
comes to sort of changing from a download client to playing in the browser, or playing from the browser to the phone. I don't see sort of the next jump there that's going to change sort of the consumption amazingly. Not in the nearest 2-3 years, at least. I'm hoping to find which one it is, but I don't see an obvious one yet.
Like, if we go back to, let's say, 2010, and I would have asked you the same question, would you have said mobile?
Yes, I would. We actually had, when I worked at Boss Media many years ago, then we had a lot of mobile games. It was like a Java download client, and we had to build like different games for each phone version. It could be the same phone, but just when they upgraded their operating system, it didn't work anymore. So that was too early, but I sort of could see it coming eventually. And when you saw the first iPhone 3 that I bought, then you sort of understood, okay, this is where we're heading.
Yeah, exactly. Because, I mean, to me, it's a lot about how culture is changing together with the emerging technology as well. So, just like I completely agree with you on the VR side of things. Are we close to getting a bonus? Maybe. Oh, we got a bonus. Did we?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, we're in the bonus rounds.
Mm.
Let's see. Okay, let's pause it here. Let's pause the VR thought and see what's happening. Finally, we managed to get it, Jared, in the end here.
Shark bonus.
Shark bonus. Let's do it. Okay, Martin, spin it. How many free spins do we have? Or is it all wins times 2? We have at the moment. Can you see how many free spins we have somewhere, Martin? All wins times 3. We have went 12 cents so far. Okay, 15 cents so far. But we don't know how many free spins we have, so it's a bit of a gap. Okay, now we have another €2, and all wins are times 5. Let's see, next spin. Let's see, that's nothing. We have times 6, all spins. And still nothing. Times 7. Oh, no, it disappeared. What happened? No. No, right in the middle of the bonus fund.
What?
But we will come back to it, I guess,
Mm.
right? If we reload it. Yeah. Okay. So the window reloaded. So let's see here what we are gonna go back to. We have all wins times 7. Now we continue. Okay. Now something happened here. Do you recognize this? A lot of coins and things. So we have some bonus in the bonus right now. We have
Coins
bronze
must be
coin
good.
1, 2, and 1. Bronze coin again 1, 2, and I think that was
Golden.
not so good. I think. Let's
No,
see.
I felt like the golden coins were better.
Yeah,
But still,
exactly.
big win.
Yeah, we got. Okay, let's see. Oh, well, it's a big win. €4, €5, €6,
Mega.
630.
Yeah.
Mega
Okay.
win. Yeah, and we are still times 8, and we have won €8 so far. Let's see. Oh, nowadays like gold coins came again here. So we have another bonus in the bonus. There's bronze coin, bronze coin, bronze coin, and bronze coin again. Yeah, it would be interesting to see what happened if we got the gold. Okay, we got the big win.
At
So
least
let's
5.
see.
Yeah.
So €1, €2, €3, €4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 60. There we go.
Ah,
Now we're getting back here, Edward. And now all win times 9. Let's see. Oh,
that must be good.
Okay, we have a big win again. We have €1. We have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 675.
Okay.
So we are up in the bonus game to 25. We have times 10 now. Times 10, let's see. And times 11. Let's see, can we take the spin? No, times 12. We have a lot of... this is really good bonus run. So it's still spinning. All wins are times 12. Let's see, but we aren't really getting... Okay, there we go. Now it ended. So in total, I think we got like €25. Is that so? €25. That's what I'm talking about.
Nice, Ben.
That's what I'm talking about. Everything to MSVCA for a good cause, so it makes it double that fun. So what do we have? We have €80 now. Yeah. Okay. Shall we change the game now, dear? Then we take the last.
Yeah, exactly. Let's take. Speaking of the old Betsson days or Malta days, I was thinking about Gonzo's Quest. Just take like an old classic.
Do you want to play the original one or the Megaways?
Yeah, let's be a bit modern. Take the new one.
Contemporary. Very good. I like it. Yeah, me and Simon, the previous podcast, we played the Gonzo's Quest as well, and it went pretty well actually. We found some money in there. So okay, so we have this is like playing. You know, if the original Gonzo's Quest is like Super Mario, then this would be like the Nintendo Wii U version of Super Mario with like 3D, nice 3D graphics and stuff. All right, Martin, put it on like 30 cent spin or something, and we do for another. Shall we do 5 minutes, Jared, and then we call it quits?
Sounds good.
Okay, let's do it. Okay, that was great. We got €25. Okay, so back to my point. We were talking about VR in general, and let's see. I kind of lost my point a little bit. What I wanted to say, there was yes, I wanted to say that just like, I mean, if we look at VR right now, where we are with VR right now, I bought the Oculus Rift on the first day it came. I was sure that this was going to change the world. Like, I mean, I was sure that now it's going to be the revolution, the same way as the iPhone revolutionized that, which I, by the way, also bought on the first day it came. But what ended up happening, and I don't know if you've had the same experience here, is that I ended up buying this piece of hardware. I was super excited, and then I played it for a couple of days. And then I didn't touch it again after that. Yeah. Do you recognize this with VR? Have you played it a lot as well?
Not with VR, but I had that the same experience when it comes to 3D TV. It was somewhat similar idea then, that everyone were buying this 3D TV, and you even had 3D on your remote control and everything. I don't think anyone is using it now. I've tried VR a bit, but it's more sort of downtown where you could go there, and we went there with the team and had fun for a day, and that was great fun. But it's not an everyday thing.
No, that's the thing. The technology isn't really there just yet. I think with the VR. But what I wanted to kind of mention is, and I think that's why, it becomes a little bit of a novelty with these new technologies, because everyone wants to be seen as they are, forward thinking and all these things. So we saw this at conferences a couple of years ago, that everyone had a VR demo, because that was going to be the next thing. And now then the novelty became quite apparent that VR wasn't really ready yet for the big stage, so to say. But what I'm thinking is, like, as I was saying, like, people's habits and people's consumer behavior and the way they interact with gadgets and the technology changes over time. So when the iPhone launched and the App Store launched and it became something that a device that everyone had in their hand, playing casino on that device didn't become big overnight, right?
No.
Culture had to change and people's behavior had to change over a long period of time before mobile took over. So I'm thinking, do you think maybe eventually like VR or another of these type of technologies that we already have today will experience something similar as mobile?
Yeah, I think VR will go that path. I think also there's another sort of paradigm shift that is happening now that people tend to forget a bit about. I have a Tesla, and people say, okay, it's really cool with the electricity and all sort of, that's another way, and the screen is really big and everything. But I think that's not the biggest revolution. The biggest revolution is that I bought this car 3 years ago, and it's better today than it was when I bought it. And I've never had that feeling with cars. They always are a terrible idea. If you look at sort of long term, they always get worse, and you can sell them for not even half. But the reason is because their architecture is a bit different. They built the car with sort of input sensors with all the cameras and maybe some infrared structure. And then they can control all that with the central architecture. So all that input they can program to create output as well. So they can improve the camera. And for example, when I bought the car, there was no automatic windshield wiper or whatever it's called, which I thought was really weird for such an expensive car. But then all of a sudden one morning I said, okay, software upgrade, okay, let's do it. And it just said, okay, now the first sort of indicator here on the left side, we reprogrammed that is now an automatic windshield wiper, because we taught the cameras to recognize rain. So suddenly the car was better. You see sort of how they did that. And I think that is something in a way of looking at hardware and software and interaction with humans in a different way. So I think sort of the coffee machines or the computers and everything that can be seen in such a way where maybe your bike gets a lot better over time just because you can remotely improve it.
Yeah, it's super interesting with the Teslas in general. It's a completely new way of approaching technology in something as traditional as a car that is pushing the entire automobile industry forward, right? Like, so it's the same thing with the self-driving features as well. Then in your car, it gets better all the time as well.
Exactly, you can see exactly how the engineers and the genius in Silicon Valley are thinking on each upgrade. They start to recognize. From the start, they could just see cars around the car, but now they can see bikes, they can see trucks, they can see cyclists, etc. So it's becoming better and better. So it's fun to follow in that sense as well.
Yeah, I'm an enthusiast on that side as well on AI. I don't know how much you follow AI and these sort of things. Even for the iGaming industry, it's interesting to follow the technologies improving. But on the car side of things, I follow. It's a recommendation for those who are listening. It's a podcast called the Lex Friedman podcast, and he's an AI engineer working for MIT, and he specializes in self-driving cars technology. and it's really interesting to me when I looked him up, because you've heard this over the past couple of years, that we're only a couple of years away from a true self-driving car. This is what is echoed by Elon Musk done in general. But the actual AI experts who are developing the technology, they are a lot more pessimistic in the development of AI, because there is a problem to get AI to work in the real world with the unpredictability that it brings. So, for example, in a digital environment, it's easy to predict what's going to happen. So you can easily create a self-driving car in a virtual environment. But in real life, we have billions of years of evolution for our instincts. So, for example, when I cross the road, there is like a dance happening between me and the car and the person who is driving the car. And the dance is actually that when I decide to cross the street, what humans do is actually not to look at the car, but people look away from the car when they cross the street. And why is that? Well, it's because you want to show the car that you are committed to your action. Like, no matter what you do, I'm crossing the street right now. So we are taking this like decisions that is very difficult for a machine to predict. So it's quite interesting, a random thought in general.
You're right. That's exactly how you do. You might get the interaction with the driver, but after you decided, you don't look at the car anymore. You just walk.
Yeah, exactly. The same thing how you drive as well. Like to be able to get anywhere, and especially if you're here in Malta, you have to assert your position in traffic. So you might need to speed up when you're approaching an obstacle, for example. Otherwise, you might not get anywhere. And then you ask yourself, like, how do you program an AI to take risk? Because you have to be able to take risk to be able to drive in an urban environment. Or how do you program the AI to, if you're in an imminent crash, where you have the AI have two options. Either you crash into wall, let's say, and you have a serious risk of harming the driver, or your only available option is to crash into another car, for example. How does the AI take the decision? Like ethically,
Yeah, it's really tough. I actually did one of those surveys. I tried to help one of these companies, and you had to answer like 50 questions or so. And it was questions like, okay, would you rather let the car kill a child or two adults? And those really had to go super hard questions. What if one adult is a criminal and the other one is an elderly lady? Who would you kill now? Those kind of crazy. But I guess the AI needs to make that decision sometimes, or at least in the future it will be like that.
Yeah, exactly. We are not used to being faced with those questions. We act on instinct, so we don't really make informed like decisions. But the AI has to make the decision. Yeah, it's an interesting interesting topic of its own, I think. Georg, I have one last thing for you today. One last subject that I'd love to just talk to you about quickly and hear your feedback on. Because I know that not only are you the founder of Hero Gaming, but you also have founded an investment company called Maxify, obviously. And I would love to ask you in general, like when you so you are an angel investor. Yeah.
Exactly. Usually move into companies that are worth between, very early days. It could be just like a presentation, but also the company who maybe is a small founding team that have maybe just launched a product or is close to it. So that early stage is something that I really love.
Yeah, it's cool, and I mean we are closing off a little bit where we started here today with you guys. You had the same journey starting Casumo, looking for investment and this, and there's so many people in general out there who have ideas that they know are brilliant, but they don't know how to raise the funds. So I want to ask you, like, if you are this person, you haven't raised fund before, you have this idea that you know is brilliant and that you know that you want to pursue. I think almost everyone have these ideas, but it's just what differentiate them between the true entrepreneurs that some people actually manage to go after it. But I think a lot of people they just don't know where to start. Like if you put yourself in their shoes, Jared, like how do you seek investment? Like how do you impress Georg when you go into your office and present your product? Like what is the most important things to think about when you seek investment?
I think of course the people behind it and the passion for the product and the dedication is important, but that's pretty obvious one that most investors are looking for. But secondly, I look very much for trends. When you can see something emerging, a bit like we spoke about the technology before. Is there a way to time these sort of trends that are meeting together at this point of time? That is the strongest indicator that we're onto something really good. One problem that I see in many early stage founders is that they look at we're trying to break through in a saturated market by doing something different. And I find that it's definitely possible, and there are good examples where it can happen. But usually it's hard to fight with these big guys in their home turf, even though they've gotten big and stale. They have usually saturated the market quite a lot, and they have a really good connections with the customers. You can break through if you are Elon Musk and you create a Tesla and you have millions to start with. But if you can go sort of outside and create a sphere of your own, that's usually better to try to dominate that market, make it even bigger. And then people don't talk about monopolies because it's sort of a word that's a bit frowned upon, but I love monopolies. If you can create your own monopoly that is hard to defend against, that is a really powerful position to be in. So if you have a great idea that's a bit outside of the norm, that can meet different trends that are emerging now, and where you have a mechanics in your idea where you can defend that idea from the competition, then you have a fantastic position. And just taking the gambling industry as an example, I think Betfair was one of those that did it great. They created a new way of betting where you don't bet against the house, you bet against each other with the players. So it was something new. They took it to a completely different level. And also it was almost impossible and still is to fight with that, because they created a monopoly situation where they had all of the players. It's a bit like trying to create a new Facebook or so. It's almost impossible because you have to move so many people out of it, because that's the service really. PokerStars, I guess, is in a bit in the same situation now, just because all the players are there. So investors or founders or idea people try to think a bit like along those lines.
It's a good point. And when you go into a meeting with you, Georg, do you need to have like 100-page business plan ready and all the figures ready, or like if you have this very like obscure idea, can you go into an investor and say, you know what, like I have the idea, I know how to do it, but I'm not so strong in financials. Like, can we work this out together, for example?
Yeah, absolutely. That has happened many times where it's pretty much in the meeting that we discuss together, and we even alter idea a bit, and then we go with that and I invest in that situation. So come with a great idea. You don't have to have a 100-point PowerPoint slide with an Excel to it. It's okay with the good idea that I can feel that you've been thinking about for a few months and you're really passionate about, and you've found a good key to a new way of doing business.
Yeah. Brilliant. So there is some hope out there for all the investors with these great ideas. I remember like my sister, she has this idea like I promise not to tell her, but it has to do with like household work, and she's like, I know if I could just do it, it will be a success. But then you get stuck in your day-to-day life, and you have other problems to take care of, and brilliant, Georg. I think this has been a fabulous podcast today. Shall we do another 10 spins on this machine? Where are we at now in balance, Martin?
We're at €61. There's 15 spins left on the auto.
Okay, so we do the last 15 spins then. So we have 61 euro. That's what we have now. So so let's see here. Come on, Gonzo's Quest. Let's see. Oh, we actually have a little bit of a win here. Got half a euro. That's good. And then Gonzo is coming in and dancing a little bit for us as well, asking for some luck. So that's good as well. And yeah,
I
so
think we haven't been really lucky here. So I think Hero Gaming can definitely top up this balance with another 100 euro because it was a really nice session with you, Pierre, and it goes to a really good cause. So we'll give you that.
Oh, fantastic! That's really nice to hear, Jerry. So we'll have about 100 between. Yeah, let's see where we end up. But like 160 euros or so to MSPA, to the homeless dogs and the shelters and cats and dogs and ducks and what other animals we can come up with here today. So that's awesome. I think we might have a little bit of a win now actually. Let's see. Yeah, this is they have added a lot of features to this updated Gonzo's Quest, so sometimes you don't really recognize what's happening. Oh, we got free spins.
Free spins.
Oh, we got free spins at the end of the podcast. We have 9 free spins. Let's see how this goes. Okay, let's get to 1 million now. Come on. Okay, so we'll do some. So now we come into Come on, Gonzo, get out there. That's what we're talking about. Okay, so we're ending it on free spins today. That's it will be the last spins today. Let's see. We started on 3 times multiplier, 9 free spins. Let's see where we are at. We have 150 cents so far. Second free spin. We took a win here. Yes, so we are moving up to a 6 multiplier, 6 times the multiplier. Let's see where we're at. Now we're at the 9 times multiplier. Still 7 free spins left. And let's see, we have 2 euro, 3 euro win. Yeah, okay, so 344 and 7 free spins left. Let's see what happens now in the next spin. So are we back to, okay, so, there's a lot of features happening here, Jared. We are getting too old.
A bit more.
We're too old to be able to go to understand what's happening here. But we are at the 9 times multiplier now on the second spin. We have 15 times multiplier now. 15 times multiplier. This has to be a big win. This has to be a really big win, I think. We have 15 times multiplier, and it's still the pieces are still feeling. Okay, we have a big win. 2 euro. Let's see, 3 euro. 4 euro. Oh, it's ticking up very quick. 5.58 we got. Okay.
Good.
It's okay. It's okay. Okay, 5 pieces more. We are up to 9 euro now in the free spin round. So let's see, 3 free spins more. Let's see what we get. Okay, let's see here now. The pieces are flying again. We are at 6 multiplier. And let's see, we're up to 9 multiplier. Come on. 15 multiplier now. Now we need we didn't get anything out of the 15 multiplier. But still. Let's see, 3 euro, 4 euro, 5 euro. 5 euro we got in that spin. Okay, so we're up to 14 euro in the free spin rounds with 2 spins left. Okay. Oh, now it's 2 spins left. And let's see. So we have a chance here to win something. We're at 6 multiplier. Nope. Last spin. And that's it. We got 14 euro in that round. So in total, we are at something like 175 then, together with the extra bonus. Amazing. What a great way to end the podcast, Georg. It has been absolute pleasure today. Really interesting to have you on there, Georg. And this has become almost like a little bit of a Hero Gaming podcast now lately. We've had you on. We've had your dear CMO Scott Dodson on, and Sam Brown has been on as well. So it's you have a fantastic team in your company, and it's no wonder that you're doing well, Georg. And it's nice for me as well to kind of go full circle with you. We got to know each other 10 years ago, and it's nice to have you on here today. So a big thank you from my side. And do you want to finish with some last words?
Yeah, thank you so much, Pierre. It's been a pleasure having this chat. As you say, we are somewhat of the old guys in the industry, and so happy to help out to create more fantastic people in the industry, because it is such a fun and exciting environment to be, even though last year was really tough for us all. This year is happy days, and I think it's very much about that, about learning from each other, being agile and smart, and let the tackle sort of become your advantages for the future. So that's some tips for you as well, Pierre. So thank you so much for today.
Yeah, thank you so much. The future is bright, I think, for both of us.
It is.
Thank you, Derek.